The best lessons in leadership. Welcome back to the conversation. I'm David Schuster. So I've got a book for everybody to read, particularly if you've got any employees or people who have been, say, working from home during the pandemic. You're a manager, you're trying to figure out, well, how do I get the best productivity and efficiency out of them? There is a new book that is out called Let Them Lead: Unexpected Lessons in Leadership from America's Worst High School Hockey Team. It is written by John U. Bacon, who's the former coach who took the Huron, Michigan River Rats from worst in the nation to literally one of the best in the nation, and he did it within 3 years. And oh, by the way, John U. Bacon, the New York Times bestseller, he's got 7 books on the New York Times bestseller list. He's also a former high school hockey player who never scored a goal, and by the way, was not the choice of some of the players to be their coach when he took over. John Bacon, welcome to the program. Good to have you on board.
Thank you very much. It's a warmer welcome than I got on that team initially. So yes, thank you, David.
So John, given the setup, the team is coming off an 0-22 season. You take over. You're not the coach that they wanted. You've got 2 lessons that you give them, and that is to work hard and support your teammates. How did you get them to buy in, given what they were coming off of and given who you were?
Well, great question. And this does apply, of course, to the business world and elsewhere. They're transferable. Look, when you're dealing with that kind of situation, and many managers out there do, division heads and so on, you walk into a tough environment, you focus first. You're impatient with behaviors, but you're patient with results. We were 0, 22, and 3, and 22 is the losses. So I knew we were going to lose some games that year. We had to be patient with that, but impatient with 2 rules: work hard and support your teammates. And initially, 2/3 of the guys bought it, 1/3 didn't, basically. Once they realized that, okay, look, you got a clean slate. I'm not on you for losing all your games last year. All we have to focus on is what we send out into the world and not worry about what comes back. When you get that going for you, all of a sudden you see yourself differently. You're now defining yourself instead of letting the world do it for you. And we decided to be the hardest working high school hockey team in the state. And we were that summer. So all of a sudden, preparation builds confidence, and we're getting confident. And that was all pretty cool. By the end of the summer, we were a different team.
And very well conditioned, obviously, a conditioning level that the players had never seen before. So they took pride in that. And yet there were still some setbacks, even as the season opens. You win the first 3 games, you lose one, and then you play one of the best teams in the state, Trenton. They beat your squad 13-2, which was a shellacking, even worse than the team had seen the year before. And some of your players were sort of fed up and couldn't believe it. How do you take us through? And I love the anecdote in the book, by the way, on this particular one, in terms of how you turn that shellacking into something that could be positive.
Well, this is where I'm very empathetic with all leaders out there. You plan for a lot of things. You plan your meetings. When you suffer a setback in real time, there's very little preparation for what you say next, and that's one of the hardest places to be as a leader. So you're right. We got crushed 13-2 by Trenton, one of the best teams in the nation. And I'll remind your viewers out there, by the way, David, this is not football. This is ice hockey. So 13 comes in increments of 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. So you see a puck in the back of your net. You see them celebrate. You hear their band play after every goal. David, I knew their fight song by the end of that night. It was that bad. So as you described perfectly, the guys go to the locker room. They're throwing their gloves, throwing their sticks. Like you said, they said, we weren't this bad last year. Our first 3 wins were fool's gold, basically. And I said, hey, stop. First thing I said is, I saw what you saw. That's where we are. They're kind of surprised. I was not going to try to, put lipstick on a pig, as we say, and make it sound better than it was. No, the game was bad. That's where we are. That's where they are. But that's not what matters. What does matter are our 2 values. What are our 2 values? And at first they mumble, work hard, support your teammates. And no, let's start, shouting that back and forth. We start shouting it back and forth. And then I say, hey, did you do those 2 things? And they think about it, and they realize, actually, we did. We did work hard the entire game, no shifts off, never coasting to the bench, even at the end. And we never blamed anybody for the goals against, for only 2 goals for. We supported each other. We did do it. But that's right. Those are the only 2 things you have to worry about. We control those 2 things. We don't control the world. We control our behaviors. And if we can do that tonight, that is heroic. And it will always be easier than it was tonight. So I'm proud of you. Walk out of here with your head held high. And don't forget, we play those guys again, and it's not going to be 13-2. And the next time it's 7-1, then 6-2. And a year and a half later, at the end of our second year, now we've got 16 wins. We lost to them at Trenton 3-2 close game, even shots. Their parents gave my guys a standing ovation. We were a different team.
Now, I think it was year 2 or year 3, I can't remember, but in the book, there's another anecdote about the chair. And I love this one because this is, all of us have had colleagues who have messed up and they cost the rest of the team and they do stupid things. And when you were coaching the River Rats, rather than essentially make the person who made the mistake pay, you sat them in a chair and made everybody else do sprints on the ice. Explain what was sort of going behind that and what the lesson was in this particular anecdote.
Sure. I mean, every field of endeavor has got, you want to get high sales, but not have lawsuits, for example, or complaints from customers. You always have a balancing act between what you're trying to accomplish and avoiding a third rail, for example. Good surgical outcomes and no malpractice. That's what you want. So in this case, in ice hockey, a little similar deal. We want to be aggressive, we want to be tough, but we don't want to have penalties against us. Those things can kill you. So when we took too many penalties after one game, I was getting tired of it. So I put a chair at center ice, came out on the ice in my skates with the score sheet, and I announced, number 7, Chris Kwan, 2 minutes hooking. And he goes out there and sits in the chair. And then everyone else, including the coaches, skated the entire way down the ice and the entire way back as hard as we could. And then the first guy gets out of the chair. Then the next penalty, number 17, Danny Sheldon, 2 minutes slashing, whatever. And we keep doing this, and we had to do it 15 times. We had way too many penalties. By the time you're done, I don't have to say anything because now you realize you are accountable to each other. When you take too many penalties, you're not screwing the other team over. You're not screwing me over. You're screwing your teammates over. And that is a feeling that nobody wants. People respond to that a lot more strongly than they will respond to letting themselves down or letting a boss down. So you try to set up systems where everybody's accountable to everyone else. After I did that, I did it once or twice a year. We never had more than 3 penalties the next game, and we always won. So they got the message.
John, in one of your other books, you talk about a story with Bo Schembechler, the late Michigan coach, and he was asked by one of his players, "What kind of team are we going to have?" And he says, "You ask me in 15 or 20 years, and I'll tell you based on what sort of men these are." Take that forward in terms of these, Huron high school hockey players. What are they doing now, and how cohesive is the group even years later?
And of course, I love that quote, as you know, because Bo's focus was not simply on Big Ten titles and victories. It was on the kind of men we're shaping here. And Carol Hutchins, the great softball coach at Michigan, one of her players said, "I came here a girl without much confidence, and I leave here a woman who thinks she can do anything." And that was her goal at Michigan softball, same idea. So our goal is the same. It's to create a program that you can't forget the rest of your life, that you draw on the lessons and the energy and the confidence the rest of your life. And I want to stay in touch. So every summer for now 17 summers, we've had them back in our backyard for barbecue I pay for, and they come back with their wives and their kids. And David, their kids are older than mine, who's 6. So they give me parenting advice, and I have to take it, David. So that's how that one works. But your bigger point certainly applies here. Of 54 former players I had, more than 40 are in leadership roles of some sort. Now, one's a higher up at the Department of Homeland Security, a lawyer there. One is the vice president of Insight Global, a $2.5 billion company in Atlanta. One is a higher up with Uber Freight in Chicago. And it goes on like this. We got a couple doctors in there, anesthesiology and so on. And I'm pleased to say that when I asked them for help on this book, I said, "Look, you guys are now in your mid-30s, same age I was when I coached them. What'd you take out of it? What do you remember? What mattered to you?" And they sent me back 150 pages of stories and insights and ideas, which I baked into the book, which makes it a very rare leadership book because usually you never hear from the people you're trying to lead. So their insights here are fantastic. And I'm pleased to say they've applied these lessons to the real world, and they work.
And one of the lessons, of course, is there are a lot of people who think, if you're going to lead younger people this day and age, well, you can't make it my way or the highway. You gotta sort of coach to them in terms of let them get away with things. And one of the things that sticks out about your book is that younger people, even today, are looking for discipline. They're looking for process. They're looking to have the boundaries drawn for them.
Exactly right. The advice I got there was from Al Clark of Culver Academies, Culver Military Academy for the boys. He is the winningest high school hockey coach of all time. I coached for him years ago. Amazing guy, Phi Beta Kappa math department chairman, not a yeller or a screamer. But he told me when I took the job, What you have to do at Huron is make it special to play for Huron here in Ann Arbor. And the way to make it special is to make it hard. That's the exact opposite advice that everybody is telling me about millennials and now Generation Z. And he's right. And you think about it, why Navy SEALs accept 6%? They pay $54,000. And their wait list is gigantic because it's hard. It attracts the right people. Peace Corps, same thing. Law school, for that matter. Anything hard, the harder your admissions, the more applications you're going to get. That's how it works. So we did that right away. We're on the track. We're in the weight room all summer and all fall. And not one player quit. And these were not Navy SEAL candidates. These are the players from the worst team in America, 0, 22, and 3. So we guessed completely wrong about this generation. As you said, they want discipline. They want direction. They want to be challenged. They want a sense of purpose and belonging. They're very big on that, not just a paycheck. Why am I doing this? It has to matter on some bigger global level. And last but not least, let them lead. That's the title of the book. The more control you give them, here are my high standards. Once you've shown you can meet them, I start giving you control of the team. And finally, our third year, I let them coach an entire game, and they won 6-0, with me not saying a word the entire night.
John Bacon, the book is Let Them Lead, Unexpected Lessons in Leadership from America's Worst High School Hockey Team. John has also written bestsellers, including Fourth and Long, The Fight for the Soul of College Football. I'm holding that up right here. And Overtime, Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan Wolverines at the crossroads of college football. Bacon, I've got all your books on these bookshelves behind me, including Bo's Lasting Lessons. Folks, if you want to do a friend or a family member a favor, buy them any one of John Bacon's books. Trust me, they will be forever grateful. John Bacon, thanks for doing this, my friend. Take care.
Thank you. The website is letthemleadbybacon.com with a podcast. And Dan Shaughnessy of the Boston Globe called it Ted Lasso meets Mighty Duck. There you go.
And someday it's going to be a Hollywood movie, and we'll just have to guess in terms of who's going to play John Bacon in the movie. John, thanks so much. On behalf of Asher Cofield and the entire team at the Young Turks, I'm David Schuster. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.